Okay, we're going to call this meeting to order. This is a regular city council meeting of the Williston City Council. It is Tuesday, May the 3rd. It's 6 p.m. Thank you, Aaron. And we will have Ms. Wright call the roll at this time.
Mayor Goodman.
I'm here.
Council President Jones.
Here.
Vice President Robinson.
Here.
Councilmember Bullock. He's absent. Councilmember Cox.
Hello.
Councilmember Ross.
Here.
City Manager Gorman.
Here.
City Attorney Scott Walker. Absent. City Clerk Latricia Wright. Here. Attorney Kirsten Ballou.
Here.
And all other staff.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I do want to announce that Mr. Bullock is a coach for the baseball team, and they are in the district playoffs, actually hosting here in Williston. I told him if he came, we were going to be very upset with him, so he is with his team. There will be other city council meetings, but he's with his team tonight. If we will, at this time, let's stand for the opening prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance by the Mayor.
Please join me if you wish. Lord, we just want to come today and thank you for the grace that you've given our fair city, for the good people that you've put in places of leadership, for the fine citizens that we have here, for the people that care about one another and in our struggles to always try to do the right thing. Lord, I ask you to look after our first responders, our police and our fire department, who put their lives on the line in service of others. Lord, I ask you to be with their country as it struggles to find its path. And Lord, I just ask you to be with all of the people in the world who are facing severe adversity. Help us to understand that we should be thankful, Lord, that we live in the United States of America. I ask this in your name. Amen. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Okay, item number 1 is additions, deletions, changes, and approval of the agenda. And at this time, I know that we need to reverse number 3 and number 4 because of a technical issue. And if that meets your approval, I would entertain it.
I have one more.
You have another one?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Item 8, old business. Number C, discussion of possible action at an extra event to the Independence Day celebration. Take that off.
Table for now?
Yes, ma'am.
I'll be back.
Okay, that's why I called it table.
I think we should table 8B, since Mr. Bullock's not here, where we could discuss his pick or the discussion of the pick of the 7th member.
Okay, you wanna discuss it when we get there? Or you wanna wait?
I think we should just
You
table it.
just wanna table it some of the beginning? I think he called and told you, did he call and tell you who he wanted to appoint? I mean, don't tell me, but,
Don't.
yeah.
I think we should table it because we can't discuss a seventh member.
Okay, does everybody else feel that way? You do, okay, I guess we're tabling that, we're gonna have a short meeting tonight. Okay.
That worked.
Huh?
That
works.
works.
That works, okay. All right, now, I would entertain a motion for, tabling item 8, B, and C, and rearranging the order of 3 and 4. If that meets your approval.
I move that we approve as amended.
I have a motion and a second. Do I have any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 4 is the Mayor's Student of the Month, and I would turn it over to Mayor Goodman. So quiet in here.
Are you Kevin? Where's Kevin? Hi, Kevin. Why don't you join me up here in front of all these people that are looking at you? May I shake your hand? It is a pleasure to meet you, Kevin. So Kevin, may I put my hand on your shoulder? You gotta be careful. Some people don't like that. Kevin goes to Joyce Bullock Elementary School. Kevin Dominguez, did I say that right? Dominguez is a first grader. His parent is your parent Kevin Dominguez too? Or is this wrong? What's your parent's name?
What's your dad's name?
Juan.
Juan. Hi, Juan.
Hi, nice meeting you, sir.
Well, according to what I have, his parent is the same as him. That's your dad over there? Is he a good dad? Okay. I feel for your dad because I qualify the same way, sometimes.
Very nice to meet you.
Kevin was nominated by Mrs. Hudson and Mrs. Coleman, who made some really interesting comments about Kevin, which I have to tell you, Kevin, I don't impress that easily, but they were pretty impressive comments. Kevin is so deserving of this award. When we met him at our Meet the Teachers night, we knew immediately he was a very special child. And he has proven to be just that. Kevin is so thoughtful, funny, kind, smart, and most of all has the sweetest heart. That's an awful lot of nice things they said about you. It's not often that you find someone that is thoughtful, funny, kind, smart, and has a sweet heart, Kevin. I congratulate you on that. Academically, Kevin always gives his best effort and continues to shine and grow each day. There are some things such as effort, motivation, and perseverance that you just can't teach, and Kevin has it all. Kevin is one of the kindest, you know they keep saying that, Kevin. Kevin is one of the kindest kids we have ever met. He is so respectful to adults, but it is the way that he interacts with his peers that makes him stand out. Do you like other kids? Do you like any other kids? Okay, well, is there just one? Okay, well, it's important to have one good friend, Kevin. One good friend is better than a whole bunch of sort of friends. Kevin is always willing to help his friends, the one. He's always willing to help his friends whenever they need him. I think probably you help more than just one friend, Kevin. Mhm. This could mean playing with someone who may not even have a friend. Walking with another student who may not even know how to get somewhere on campus, or helping a friend during central rotations. Kevin has so many positive characteristics that we could go on and on and on and on and on and on, listing all of the reasons why Kevin was chosen for our JDE City of Williston Mayor Student of the Month. But we thought we would just like to list a few that his peers say about him. These are from fellow students. Kevin is always nice to people. Kevin respects others. Kevin is very smart. Kevin is just a really good friend. Kevin always includes others in his games at recess. Kevin is a really good reader. Do you give lessons? And Kevin is a very kind person. Kevin, the world could use more kindness, and I thank you for bringing it forward and to being an example for all of us and for the other students at your school, and an example for your teachers so that they have someone that they can hold up and say, this is a good thing. Kevin, this is from your teachers. Miss Hudson and Mrs. Coleman, yes, you can read, he can read, by the way. And Mrs. Coleman are so proud of you. Keep working hard and always keep the love in your heart. You will do wonderful things. I think I'm going to cry. So, Kevin, I would like to give you this award from me, and from all of these people up here that are leaders in your community. And what this is Outstanding Student Award. It is presented by Charles Goodman, the mayor, City of Williston, Florida, and this award is to certify that Kevin Dominguez is awarded this certificate for academic excellence, leadership, citizenship, and attendance at Joyce Bullock Elementary School, given this third day of May 2022. You sure you give reading lessons, right? 2022, Charles Goodman, Mayor, City of Williston. And Kevin, I would like to present this to you. And I would like you to hold it up, right like that, because all of these people out there want to take your picture. Anybody that wants to take their picture, now's your opportunity, because Kevin is ready. That man wants you to look at him.
A few more, okay? One more. Thank you.
Now, Kevin, there is a secret that mayors in this city have been keeping for years and years and years. You know what it is? Good. This is your very own pizza. Now, I suspect that a person that is kind and loving and caring about other people will want to share that pizza with somebody. But it's yours, and I know you'll make a good decision. So let's give Kevin a round. Thank you very much, Kevin. You can go sit down. Assistant Chief, thank you for your assistance.
Quite welcome, sir.
We are now ready.
Yes, sir. We're now going to move to item number 3, which is swearing in of the new police officer. And now it's my turn. Is it Steve Wink?
It is Wink.
By Mayor Goodman. Sure show again.
Officer Wink, would you join me up here? And your son and your daughter. Before I swear you in, Officer Wink, I would like to read to everybody a little bit about who it is that is going to be a new police officer in our community. And this is first person from him. I was born June 4th, 1971. That means he's really young. In Ann Arbor, Michigan. I grew up in a small town of Eaton Rapids, Michigan, and I graduated from Eaton Rapids High School in 1989. I moved to Florida full-time in 1992, and to Ocala in 1994. My 2 children, which one is just laughing to death, is beautiful.
She's standing for my daughter. This is my
Hi, stepdaughter Haley.
My daughter.
Okay, well, you're a fine standard.
She's just as good. She's just as great.
My 2 children are here tonight and are the guiding force in my life. My daughter is 16 years old and an honor student at Forest High School in Ocala and on course to graduate from high school with an AA degree. My son is 26 years old, a University of Florida graduate, and currently is a deputy with the Alachua County Sheriff's Office. I grew up around law enforcement. My uncle was a sergeant with Washington, and I can't pronounce that, Washington County Sheriff in Michigan. I started down the path of law enforcement, and I find this to be very interesting. I started down the path to law enforcement by attending the academy at Central Florida Community College, Ocala, in 2001. But after graduating, I decided to accept a raise to continue my IT work with Taylor, Bean, and Whitaker in Ocala. After many years of IT work, 7 years as a local business owner, and watching my son attend the academy, and go to work at Alachua County, my desire for a career in law enforcement surfaced again. With the support and encouragement of my kids, at age 50, it's not too late. At age 50, I again enrolled in the academy at the College of Central Florida in October of 2021, and upon graduation, April 26, 2022, I received the K.C. Alvarez Award for highest academic achievement, the Top Shot Award for first place in firearms qualification, and the Honor Graduate Award for the highest combined score in graduating class number 197. Officer, I think you should get a round of applause for that. Would you Since I grew up in a small town, I felt that a career in Williston was the best choice for me. I'm honored for the opportunity to serve this community and excited to get started. And Stephen, we are honored to have you. I would like to give this badge to your son. And I would like you to take the oath of office before you take that. Are you ready? I, Stephen Wink,
I, Stephen Wink,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and protect
that I will support and protect
and defend the Constitution
and defend the Constitution
and the government of the United States,
and the government of the United States,
the state of Florida,
the state of Florida,
and the ordinances of the city of Williston,
and the ordinances of the city of Williston,
and that I am duly qualified to hold office
and I am duly qualified to hold office
under the Constitution of the state,
under the Constitution of the state,
and that I will well and faithfully perform
and that I will well and faithfully perform
the duties of police officer
the duties of police officer
on which I am now about to enter.
on which I am now about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Sir, would you?
Thank you, sir.
Three. Oh, yeah. One.
Welcome you to Williston, and we wish you many happy years with us. Okay, and before the mayor goes any farther, I'm going to just say, if you're here for the student of the month, or you're here for the police officer, this is your time to escape if you want to go. We'll just hold up for a minute, and if you want to go, and I'm not trying to run you out, if you want to stay, we'd love to have you. But this is your time to depart if you would like. And Mr. Mayor, we are now to item number 5, which is the proclamation for the 53rd Annual Professional Municipal Clerks Week.
Thank you.
Yes, sir, thank you for coming.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Kevin.
You know, I would love to bring the clerk up here, but she would resist. So I will do this without her. This is the proclamation for the 53rd Annual Professional Municipal Clerks Week, May 1st through May 7th. Whereas the office of the Professional Municipal Clerk is a time-honored and vital part of local government. It exists throughout the world, and whereas the office of the Professional Municipal Clerk is the oldest among public servants, and whereas the office of Professional Municipal Clerk provides the professional link between the citizens, the local governing bodies, and the agencies of government at other levels. And whereas professional municipal clerks have pledged to be ever mindful of their neutrality and impartiality, rendering equal service to all. Whereas the professional municipal clerk serves as the information center on functions of local government and community. Whereas professional municipal clerks continually strive to improve the administration of the affairs of the office of professional municipal clerk through participation in educational programs, seminars, workshops, and annual meetings of their state, provincial, county, and international professional organizations. Whereas it is most appropriate that we recognize the accomplishments of the office of the professional municipal clerk. Now, therefore, I, Charles Goodman, Mayor of the City of Williston, do recognize the week of May 1st through May 7th, 2022 as Professional Municipal Clerks Week, and further extend the appreciation to our professional municipal clerk, Latricia Wright. And to all professional municipal clerks for the vital services they perform and their exemplary dedication to the communities that they represent. Dated this 3rd day of May, 2022, Charles Goodman.
Okay, at this time, we're going to move to item 6, which is public participation. This is the first opportunity at this meeting for the public to speak to something that is not currently on our agenda. If you have something you would like to address, please come to the podium. You have 5 minutes. We have another opportunity at the end if you're not wishing to speak at this time. Anybody online, Aaron? Okay, so not seeing any action towards the podium, I'm moving to item number 7, which is the consent agenda, which consists of the council meeting minutes of April the 19th. And I'll entertain a motion for approval or discussion, whichever you prefer.
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
A second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 8 is old business. Not really sure why it's old business, but it is staff, board, and council update. And I'm going to start with City Manager Jackie Gorman.
Hey, good evening, everyone. I've given each of you a project update. I'm trying to make this not 6 pages or repeat what we've been doing before, just new stuff. But I do want to share some highlights of this report with you. First of all, as you know, our Public Works Director, Jonathan, is out on medical leave, but he is listening in, and we just want him to know that we're thinking of him, and can't wait until he gets back to work and feeling better. So, second of all, we've had a few staffing changes that I want to bring your attention. Back in October of 2020, you approved the Deputy City Manager position shared at that time with Public Works Director, with C.J. Samosky. The position's been vacant a year since the departure of our former Public Works Director, and I waited this long because I wanted to find someone that would fit the position, that had the necessary skills and abilities to fill the position while I'm away from the office, and to keep Operation City moving forward when I retire, if this is council's desire. This is what we talked about by having a deputy, is a smoother transition in city managers and not go through what we did the last time. Have someone already familiar with our city. I'm pleased to announce Dina Nelson. Dina, let's stand up. I went in. To be our next deputy city manager. He was chosen by a panel, while she was being interviewed by Human Resource Director. She'll remain our Human Resource Director, but shares the title of Deputy. And she's been, has amazing talent she's brought to our city. She's taken on challenges in getting our HR department together, where it needs to be, and it's still going strong. She's capable of taking charge of situations. She assists me in making recommendations for improving the overall management operation of the city. It's a good foundation to have someone in HR that really oversees the employees with their training, their hiring, all the things necessary to keep our employees strong and moving forward and growing with our city. So it's a good balance. And of course myself and my background is more on the public works, capital, and side of things. So we make I think a very good team going forward. She works very well with our other departments, and I've been watching her for some time. So I am really thrilled to have her as my deputy. So moving on.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Infomark, as you know, we've been under contract with Infomark for years. Prior to Infomark, it was Servant-Trans, do you remember? And as we grow, and I've been on the phone with Stephen, and I don't know if he's tuned in here or not tonight, but anyway, we've had discussions, and he agrees that we've grown to a point where we need to have our own in-house finance director. We've had things happen that really, you need to be in the arena to really be able to catch all of this, and I've done my best to try and make some changes since I've been in office. But we really need someone in this arena as our finance director. I'm going to be putting out an advertisement, and I'm going to be working with Stephen to select our next finance person. Our budget, I think, is going to be great. We're saving a lot, I think, in this endeavor. But the first thing that's going to happen is we have a new payroll system that we're testing that's going to get everybody on the same level. So we've had some challenges with in past years that we're still trying to catch up with. This is going to remove that possible error in some sense, because it's a wonderful program that's going to use throughout the whole department. So once that segues over, and all Infomark will be doing is paying out. So Stephen's given us some credit for that on the contract. With Jen being gone, we're getting credit on that contract, and we're going to be able to fill, I think, this finance director position without it being painful in our budget. So we're excited to make that move, and so Stephen and I are going to work together, and he'll stay with us through that transition. The contract ends the end of September. We're hoping by October 1 that we're ready. If not, Stephen will still stay with us until we're all comfortable with the new director going forward. So that's another change that we're looking at. Our Williston Animal Shelter is moving quickly. Thank you, Mayor Goodman, for everything you do out there. The shelter is beautiful if you haven't seen it. It's anticipated to be completed by the end of the year. So staff is starting to work on a plan for future operations and staffing. So we'll update you as we go along with that, but we have some pretty good thoughts as to how we want to maybe get this orchestrated. And once we get that refined, we'll bring that back to you. I want to touch on, I know I've talked to you about the Monterey fire suppression system, so we're still in negotiations with them on how to handle this issue with the failure at that plant. So the rest of it's just updating you on the standards development. We're almost done with getting our standards done, which we've needed so desperately. Very excited to see that. For those who don't understand, we have land development code that addresses everything on private property, but our public works standards need to be put together for everything in our rights of ways, so that when developers come in, they know what we expect for our system. So with that, the next thing I think, Laura, do you want to talk about your signs?
Good evening.
Hi.
I don't know if everybody noticed, but the poles are up for the wayfinding signs from the CRA. We have one right out here, so when you leave today, you'll see it says City Hall. And we've sold 3, and we have at least 10 people who have accepted contracts and asked us to start making their signs. So you'll start seeing those go up around town. The purpose of them is to give people a little bit of a better idea, where businesses are off the road. So it'll sort of point in that direction. Do you have any questions?
I just saw some in strange places.
Yeah.
Like a block off the main drag. Is that where they're supposed to be?
Well, we can't put them in the DOT right away, so we can't put them right off of 27. But the reason they're a block off is because sometimes people will know that it's down there. Google will take them there, but they won't know exactly where it is. And this is a good way for people to know. Especially if it's in a little strip mall. We have some problems over there where the gym is. There's a couple businesses that are hard to find. So that's why that they are a block off the main drags.
Well, the one I saw was a block behind Taco Bell, which I thought was an odd place.
Yeah,
To have that.
I talk about DOT.
It's probably, they are very, well versed in where they are.
Okay.
And they said that that's a good spot, and for whatever reason, businesses needed it there, so
Okay.
the demand was there.
Oh, that was an interesting spot, because you've already passed it if you see it.
Yeah, by the time
Unless
you see it,
you're,
it's too late.
unless you're behind it.
It's possible it's not for Taco Bell. It's possible that it's to point people to go to businesses that are a block away or so.
Okay.
Because they're wayfinding signs, so basically,
Yeah,
it's
they're
for
really
businesses that are
pointing
hard
right
to
there.
find. You don't wanna put it right in front of the business.
Right.
You wanna put it to get you to the business.
There's pretty much nothing back there.
Yeah.
But I'll watch it. We'll see what.
We'll see
shows
what
up
they
on
end
it.
up doing with
We'll see
it.
what shows up on it. I can't imagine what it'll be, but we'll see.
And if it was, one that isn't needed, we can always move it.
Okay, that was just the only one I thought was.
Oh, I thought United Methodist Church was gonna.
Oh, you did, did you?
In fact, I saw
You kind of, can't miss it.
Yeah.
So we'll figure out what that one
And
looks
it's
like.
behind the church instead of in front of the church.
And council, I just realized you're missing a page, so I'm gonna resend this to you.
Okay.
But we have 3 new grant applications out, just to let you know, we have a tag grant for a GIS gas system for $42,000. We've got a DEP, sand and grit grant for our wastewater treatment plant for $79,000. And we're working on the DEO Economic Development Infrastructure Fund. We have an $8.8 million infrastructure plan for the airport that, Ben's been working with Passrow and getting done, and it's completed. So now we have to sit and figure out what we wanna apply for, if we wanna do it in phases, or, but we were gonna have that out by June 1st, so that'll be at DEO by then. But yeah, I'll get it, sorry about that, but I
And you're
realized
right.
I'm missing a page.
You're right, we have page 1 and 3.
Yeah,
There's
you
those
do.
two.
Wright Pierce, I gave you an update on all the projects they're working on. The first one, one of them is John Henry Park. You know we're struggling with that, and we have been. We didn't get any bids, now we're trying to circle our wagons and deal with that again. And I had a phone conference with them today, so we're hoping that we have one tomorrow that may come through, and we can get this moving, because this is through SwiftMud, our Seymour grant. We need to make sure because they're changing right now. We don't know all the dynamics of what's happening with them, but this grant's gonna change, so we really need to not extend this. If
I
we
have
can
a
help it.
question, if you don't mind.
Sure.
About the finance director.
Yes.
You're thinking about getting one finance director to take care of everything, or
Well,
a slew of employees?
Not a slew. We'll have
I
one.
mean, we need more than one person.
I understand. Yeah, I think I'll wait till they get
Is
here
it
to
in the
determine.
budget?
Probably one other, yes. We'll have a budget laid out for you for that. We pay their contract now, it's $168,000 a year, so we'll be able to work within those confines of that. Because don't forget, we have customer service now, we have Selena over them, and Selena takes care of all of our utility billing. She'll be part of that department too.
Okay.
But we really need,
And payroll's coming out of there.
the payroll's coming away from there, so we have that handled through HR. So when that person gets hired, they'll know just how much help they'll need. We're hoping it's only one more, and then we'll go from there. So
May I?
Sure.
I remember before Severn Trent, our audit was not good. And the auditor for years, for the first couple of years after we hired Severn Trent, the auditor said, your financial situation has improved dramatically. And you're the city manager, but my concern is, we tried in-house finance.
I remember,
before,
and that's my concern
and it
as
did
well.
not go well. And I am concerned about your choice. I'm assuming that you've discussed it with someone.
I have.
You have the right to do what you want as the city manager, but I'm going to voice concern about returning to an in-house financial situation when Severn Trent has done such a fantastic job. Did they request to be released?
They did not.
You said that they said we were beyond the point that they could be of assistance to us.
Our conversation was, we've grown to the point where we need our finance director here. Now, what happened is, it's like anything else. You have to hire for qualifications and experience with references of a good track record. We're going to have that, or we'll come back again and say, and ask Stephen if he could still work with us. So I'm gonna be working with Stephen through this, and he'll help me vet through this process to make sure we select the right person. But it's like any other department, you've got to get experience, you've got to get someone that has got municipal background, that has a track record of success. That's what I'm looking for.
If I can continue, please. Here is the issue. With Severn Trent and the Infomark, their new name, I believe.
Right.
You have a company. We hire a finance director. That finance director is with us for 3 years and decides to leave, then everything starts over. And we're trying to look for a finance director again. And I hope that you have considered all the ramifications of your choice. And I wish you the best of luck. I am surprised.
Well,
I really like smoking beers, Stephen.
well, me too, me too. And Ms. Gorman and I have discussed it at length, and we said that this is her choice for right now. However, when it becomes a contract or an employee and a budget, that's us.
Okay?
So,
It's you.
and we've had that discussion as recently as
I'm very
today.
concerned about that whole thing.
Yeah.
I can tell you, I've never, in my 45 years, I've always had finance director in the building. It's hard to catch when you're not in the arena. Certain things, you've got to understand what's happening in order to, I don't even know how to word this right, but I can tell you, I've been going through things as I sign checks, find things that we've bought and paid for in the past, seeing processes that need to be put in place that really a finance officer should have caught. Now, like I said, if we're not comfortable with the person that we select, I understand your concerns and I've heard these, and I respect that. I will go back and look again, and we'll look at it differently and see what happens. But it's very difficult not having someone in this building, as busy as we get with the things that we're doing. We really need someone in house. And Stephen
If
agrees.
I may ask one last question, then I will yield.
Let me add that our contract person that we have, that was their employee, is no longer here.
Understood.
So, I know that the public doesn't know that.
But we have a company that
They do.
will bring us.
So if I may just ask one last question. You were just speaking about things that you run across. Is it your position that Severn Trent Infomark has not been doing a great job?
It's not that.
Okay.
It's things that
That's
if they are not here to see it, it's hard to, and it's hard to even give you a circumstance, but being as busy as we are with contracts, with purchasing, with purchase orders, with changes in inventory, with stuff that's going on in the finance world, with grants even, being here with the team and the staff when we're trying to plan and budget and go forward. Stephen's been wonderful, don't get me wrong, but it's good to have a run-to available there that can help us through some of the things that we're being faced with now. I'm just saying, being in the arena is important. Being on the outside, he does what he's asked to do or what he knows, and sometimes we might not catch it all, where a finance director in this building would.
Infomark or Stephen send us another Jennifer.
I imagine if we ask him to, yes.
Would that?
And that will be an option, we'll look
Okay.
at that, absolutely.
Okay.
I'm not
I'm
discarding
just
what you're
concerned
saying.
about our whole in-house, because I've seen what has happened before that we've had in-house, and it turned out to be almost disaster.
Well, I've been doing that, going through that with almost every department, so I think we've been successful in hiring. So I hope this works too, if not, you'll know it. I'll keep you all in the loop on this, and we'll feel comfortable going forward, or we won't.
And it's funny, because I have a different memory altogether. I remember the last 3 independent finance directors we had, I can name them by name.
Go ahead, there's no need, but go ahead with your.
And I had absolutely no trouble with it. And every time, and I could go all the way back to the auditor, to James Moore and Company, all the way to Purvis and Gray, because we changed from one after about 10 or 12 years to the next one. And I don't remember them finding any internal issues.
Purvis and Gray made numerous statements about the state of our financial condition before they came.
But it had,
Now, I am
to
not
my memory,
a officer.
to my memory, it had nothing to do with,
Well, we have different members.
what we did, the processes. It had nothing to do with that. It had to do with the way we spent the money,
What it had to do.
which was our decision, not the internal.
My
Fine,
understanding, what
Inspector.
it had to do with was them saying that, what was the before infomark?
Servantry.
Thank you. My memory, and I think the records will bear this out, my memory is that the auditor was making commendations for the way Severn Trent had fixed our finances, and commendations to them for the good work they had done. That's my memory. Maybe my memory is faulty, but that is my concern. I had no idea this was coming. It is the city manager's position,
Yes,
I
it is.
agree with you. That means the city manager lives and dies with it.
And I think you're gonna need more than 1 or 2 people.
Then sometimes you gotta have a different set of eyes to look at things, because they catch things by a different set of eyes.
And I think the only disparaging remarks we've ever had in our audits have been the fact that we spent too much utility money, or transferred too
I
much.
did not use the term disparaging remark. I used the term excellent result, which is entirely different from disparaging remark. What the auditor said was Severn Trent had turned our financial situation around with their good work. That was in no way disparaging remarks about anything.
I don't remember that at all.
Well,
Oh, I
as
know
part
that.
of going forward, I will absolutely talk to Stephen about bringing another person in here, and that way we have options to look at and make sure that we're making the right decision. Because I can tell you, with the great resignation that's going on out there, when you look at different cities, not only are they looking for HR directors, they're looking for a whole flipping staff, everybody's gone. So it might be I have a hard time finding one. So, and again, this is nothing against Stephen and his work, he's
Right.
been wonderful. But having somebody in the arena makes a difference, when you're here and you're ear to the ground on what's happening around you. That can assist with us doing project coding and the certain things that we wanna do. We could still do that, don't get me wrong, Stephen's great. We just thought we'd grown to a point now with as busy as we are and the things that we're doing, it would be good to have someone inside. So we will absolutely ask him what it would take to stay, pulling payroll away, and make that one of our options to consider. Because I listen to y'all, I absolutely do, and I don't want you uncomfortable with the decision.
Thank
So
you.
we'll be back with it. Okay, thank you.
Anything else, Ms. Robinson?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Real quickly, so I'll get you all 3 pages instead of 1 and 3. And I think, Donald, did you have an update you wanted to give? Real quick.
Just letting you know about a couple of things. Public Works began. We finally got into the archives building. So if you've noticed, it's been painted, and we're working on now overhauling some of the inside, and that's within the confines of the budget that existed at the beginning of the year. And then, of course, when that's complete, we're looking forward to presenting that to council, the charging station and the whole facility there that we've put some work into. Also, we've started a project out at the wastewater facility to prepare for a possible proposal from Armstrong in kind of securing the fence line between it and the Country Lane Estates, making it a little more attractive transition. So we're doing some cleanup and some work out there, and we've made a lot of changes out of the plant as far as repairs and painting as well. So we encourage you, if you'd like to set up a time to look at it, we'd love to take you out there.
Yes, sir.
Don, is it Armstrong or is it
Linear. So Armstrong is in charge of the site development, Armstrong, and they will turn that over to the builder, at which time that they meet their obligations for preparing the utilities and the pads.
Please start again, somebody else was talking.
I apologize. Armstrong is responsible up to the point that the site preparation is done. So they're doing the driveways, the roads, the inner utilities. When that's done, it'll be turned over to the company that's going to build the homes.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Anything else, Mr. Barber? Okay. Did any other staff have anything at this point in time? If not, I'm going to go to Mr. Ross. Do you have any announcements at this time or any updates, questions?
No, I do not.
Okay. Mr. Mayor, you have anything?
I do. Surprise, surprise, surprise. Madam President, we have discussed earlier that we were going to do a very short video about the clerk.
Yes, we did.
And she is over there nodding her head no, but I'm asking the chair to allow me to have that video for the audience. It's about 2 minutes long, and I will yield the rest of my floor to the video.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, would you turn your mic on, please, when you speak? Can't hear you.
In San Diego.
So turn it on.
Well, San Diego International Airport held a special event to answer that specific question. The Office of the Authority Clerk hosted a group of 8th grade honors students and staff from Montgomery Middle School on May 4th, 2011 at the Airport Authority to provide an overview of the scope, duties, and responsibilities handled by a municipal clerk. The event was in honor of Municipal Clerks Week, initiated in 1969 by the International Institute of Municipal Clerks, endorsed by all its members throughout the United States, Canada, and 15 other countries. A presentation by Authority Board Member Pankin included a proclamation for Municipal Clerks Week in recognition of the essential role that municipal clerks play in local government. Visiting municipal clerks from other agencies shared information about their role and experiences in the field. A challenging quiz helped students understand the functions of municipal clerks, and several short skits based on the history of municipal clerks entertained the students. After a lunch break of pizza and salad, our guests were treated to a behind-the-scenes tour of the airfield. Over the years, municipal clerks have become the hub of government, the direct link between the inhabitants of their community and their government. The clerk is the historian of the community, where the entire recorded history of the town and its people are in his or her care. The eminent political scientist, Professor William Bennett Monroe, in one of the first textbooks on municipal administration in 1934, stated, "No other office in municipal service has so many contracts. It serves the mayor, the city council, the city manager where there is one, and all administrative departments without exception. All of them call upon it, almost daily, for some service or information. Its work is not spectacular, but it demands versatility, alertness, accuracy, and no end of patience. The public does not realize how many loose ends of city administration this office pulls together. These words, written more than 50 years ago, are even more appropriate today. Just ask the honor students from Montgomery Middle School.
Thank you.
Let's hear it from Ms. Wright. Thank you for all you do for us every day. Seriously. Okay, anything from you, Councilman Robinson? No, not at this time. Okay, Councilman Councilman Cox?
Maybe this should be for the second, but did we got in touch with Lena Moxley about the road back there?
I don't know whether she's rescheduled.
She has rescheduled for next council meeting. She couldn't make it tonight, so she'll be here on the 17th.
Thank you, Ms. Wright. Kirsten, anything for this particular time?
You'll have plenty from me later.
Okay, any other staff member before we move on? Okay, if we will, we're changing the page, we're moving to item 9, which is new business, because we tabled the other 2 items. Discussion with possible action for closure of CB 20-16-541 West Double Avenue, Michael Peso owner. Ms. Jones.
Thank you. The code enforcement on this property goes back to 2015. We did restart the number in 2021 so that we would have all of our ducks in a row with our attorneys. We went through the process again, and we have, at this point, put in the lien. It is 3 months after the lien would have been the 28th of March, so we waited just a little bit longer to see if we got any contact, and we didn't. Our current lien on that property is $31,000. I also got some information from Infomark a little bit late for this agenda, but we've spent $4,433.35 since 2017 on the property through legal fees. I don't know what the value will be if we do foreclose on it. I know that you've asked me that before. I couldn't get a realtor to give me a value. Nobody wanted to do that.
Laura?
Yes, sir.
How much have you spent so far over the period?
In legal fees since 2017, we've spent $4,433.35. That was up through February. If Folds & Walker has another invoice for me for April or March, I haven't received it, but I don't think they do.
Ms. Wright, are the pictures in the video? If so, would you please scroll through those just for the audience?
She has them up there.
Yeah, just so the audience can see what we're talking about here.
So at this point, we have a property that's not only blighted, which is visibly unsightly, but it's dangerous. We've had multiple break-ins. We've had some arrests.
Excuse me, what is there to break in there for?
There is a portion that has been sort of cordoned off that has, I'm not gonna tell you what it is so that it breaks in, but there is some stuff in there that they've been stealing. I think the police arrested 3 people a few weeks ago.
Right, they told us at our last meeting about 3 arrests. Right. Thank you for doing that.
And have you heard anything from him?
I have not.
Who is speaking? Who asked that question?
Mr. Cox. Mr. Cox.
Thank you. I was watching the video, sorry.
That was my question as well, is do we know that Mr. Cox, Mr. Peso is even aware of this?
Yes, ma'am, he's aware.
Okay, I know that, there were people that were trying to assist him. I know you and I have both spoken with them on the phone, and tried to get him some assistance so that he knew what was going on.
I've had 2 public records requests for all properties under code enforcement for Mr. Peso. Instead of putting together a package that would be difficult for anybody to pay for, I asked them if they would just look at photos of the first one and let me know if they still had a desire to help, or if they wanted to give me pinpoint more on what they would like, and neither one of them called me back after they received the photos.
Okay. All right. So your recommendation is,
To start foreclosure proceedings.
Ms. Believe?
If council would like, I can give you kind of a brief
Please.
description of what that will look like. So, this is jumping ahead a little bit, but we do have also on this agenda the Zamora property that we'll be talking about. When I added up all of the fees that it took us to do a full foreclosure, that is Mr. Coberlin's fees, as well as our fees and costs to go through that foreclosure, it's a little over $7,000. So that's kind of what we're looking at as far as going,
Those properties or just this one?
that's just the Zamora property.
Oh, the Zamora.
Right,
Let's
so-
not talk about that one yet.
I'm using it to say that that is what I would anticipate this would cost
Okay.
as well. These are
Okay, if
similarly
we proceed
situated.
with foreclosure,
If we
it costs
proceed
us
with
that much.
foreclosure.
I'm with you now, thank you.
That is what we would anticipate. Foreclosure will look like our office will put together a petition. We will send it to Mr. Peso. He will be noticed. We'll put together our affidavit of fees, how much time we spent on it, the cost. And then we would go through the process from there. We have to notify him. We have to make sure that everyone's aware of everything. We'll go to a hearing in front of the judge, general magistrate. There'll be an opportunity for Mr. Peso to respond. If he does not, he will be defaulted, which means that the foreclosure will go through. We'll have to, go through the procedures of noticing it in the newspaper. We'll have to go to a final hearing.
Include the old apartment on the back of the building back there?
Yes,
That will
yes.
include the entire parcel.
I didn't notice any pictures of it.
Yeah, I wish we had the house.
I didn't see any pictures of it, but yes, it is attached to the building. And that was part of the code violation, at the new code violation.
At this point, 6 months, 6 months after we looked at this place for years, I would say move forward. I would go with the recommendation from Laura.
Amen.
I think you got me, go ahead.
No, ma'am, I'm
Yeah.
asking permission.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. For those of you, like Mrs. Jones, that has a long memory of Williston, they will remember when this man put Williston out there for everything. He spent a lot of money promoting our city. This man is a 100% disabled Vietnam combat veteran who lost his wife, who was the center of his world. It is not up to me to decide what this council does, but I remember a young man standing up here earlier, and what was the one thing that he was known for? Kindness. This man is at the end of his life. You have the right to take his business that he loved for many years, that he is no longer physically able to do anything with. That is your choice. But I just ask you to consider compassion. Understand that this man is in the last years of his life. He served this country with honor in combat in Vietnam. And I would ask this council and this city to take a little bit of understanding and understand, yes, he is not the easiest man in the world to talk to. He's cantankerous. He's opinionated. And when he gets his opinion, you can't change it with a bulldozer. But he loved this city. For years, he loved this city. He can no longer do what he used to do. Soon he will be gone, and then we can foreclose all you want to on the other people after him. I just ask that this council consider compassion for a disabled Vietnam combat veteran that has served and loved this city for a long time. That I yield the floor back.
Thanks, sir. I agree with all your comments and your assessment. But we've waited years and years already. And I've had many conversations with him. And I myself like him a lot. And I tried to help him, which is the reason I tried to make sure that he knew this was going on. But we hear daily from our citizens about all of his properties. This is just the first one to come before us in this way. But we hear daily from our citizens, and I've heard pleas from our Board of Adjustments about these properties. So we're kind of in a rock and a hard place here. And it doesn't really matter, as kind of as Mr. Ross said, whether the inside looks like this or not, if the outside was presentable. And we kind of tried to tell him that, but they're not. And even the ones downtown, we've tried to make them presentable from the outside.
Ms. Jones, if I may?
Yes, ma'am.
This is no longer about a building that does not look presentable. This is a safety issue. They're not up to code. They're collapsing upon themselves.
Right.
And because the power and the water is not up to code, we don't know what kind of a safety issue this is for the citizens.
I agree 100%.
That's a danger.
My concern is somebody is gonna get hurt in one of these places because
I agree.
the woodwork is not capable of holding up people, and if the kids get up there and fall through those roofs or something, we're gonna be right in the middle of a lawsuit that we don't need to be in.
I agree.
And, I respect everything that the mayor has said, but there comes a point, I mean, we've tried to help him.
We have. I have, for
And,
sure.
well, I think we all
I
have.
think we all have.
He about threw me out of the place right there.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah, I think we've all tried.
I think if we have to consider the good of the city and what it comes to,
I agree.
Well, we work for the city.
Yeah, that's what we're here for.
And you talk about citizens saying about downtown. You have visitors that say that too.
Yeah,
What are y'all gonna do with something downtown? They think it belongs to us,
Yeah.
until you explain it to
They
them.
think we can, and they don't realize that we wanted to do something with it, and he has told us, don't touch my property.
yeah.
And then
That's
it's
the
a double-edged
position
sword.
we're in. Yeah.
If we don't do anything to there, then how can we hold somebody else accountable?
I agree.
You know, I agree with what the mayor says, but if you love the city, it wouldn't be like that.
Madam
Yeah.
President,
Oh, sorry.
I do want to say that I feel like it would be remiss if I did not present you with the possibility of, even after we file a foreclosure suit, we could speak to Mr. Peso, and if he doesn't want to go through with, a full foreclosure action, if he doesn't want to fight things, if we want to save the city some money, we can have an agreement with him wherein the city, he just deeds the city the property. Now, I'm not familiar with him, I don't know if that option has been presented to him.
I think he would fight the foreclosure too, but no.
I just wanted to make sure that everyone knew that that is an option. At any point, he can deed the property over to the city.
Right. Mr. Witt.
I don't know the man, I don't know what his health issues are, and I don't know if the last 2 or 3 years his health has declined seriously, but last time he was in here, he fell down on the floor, he dropped to the floor, did about 10 push-ups in a row.
Yes, he
And
did.
he was physically fit at that time. I don't know how many people in here can do 10 push-ups in a row just like that, but he could, so he kept himself in shape. He may have had a serious decline recently, I don't know, but, that's where he was a couple of years ago.
Right here, right in front of
Right
you.
there.
It hasn't even been a couple of years, because he did it since I've been here. So, yes, sir, I'm aware. Okay, so you hear the staff's recommendation. Entertain a motion.
I move that we move ahead with the foreclosure.
I second that.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion from anyone? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item D, discussion with possible action, sale or surplus of foreclosed property. Zamora, 319 Southeast Fifth Street. And we will move to Ms. Jones again.
Thank you.
I think you have a picture again once you get past the dollars.
This property has been foreclosed on. We do own it. We have the deed.
Great.
And we would like to know whether you would like us to do a sale through a realtor, or whether you would like us to do a closed bid, like any other surplus property. I have talked to the utilities, and they do not need that property for anything.
Okay, so this is the case of already having foreclosed and now deciding what to do with it now that it's ours. It is in the area of the high school baseball team, or baseball stadium. If you're not familiar with that southeast section over there, behind the ball field.
Have we had a realtor look at it to see, give us a value of it?
Well, yes, the value that I got, I didn't get any official values, but the value that I got was $8,500.
Which is essentially the property. Yeah. Would probably be worth more if it was, the house was not there, but we have the cost of doing that unless the fire department burned it or something.
Ms. Jones, I have had several people who are interested in it, and that's why I wanted to give you guys, I wanted to put in your mind the sealed bid, because I think you'll get more than the value that we're getting from realtors on it.
Okay.
If I can bring to your attention too, that we had some fiscal impacts on this, with liens and, money that we paid in order to get to this point.
Right.
So we have to take that into consideration.
And do we know how much that is?
Yes, it's in your, second page. The legal fees, less than 2,500, unknown realtor fees for sale, but the lien was for under 5,000 at the time of foreclosure.
So that would be page 17 of our packet.
Yeah.
Okay. For those of us that are online.
Page 17.
Okay. We've been working on it, as Ms. Ballou said, for around 6 years.
So we have been, I'm not sure if the fiscal impact, the legal fees less than 2,500 is what this would be going forward, definitely less than that going forward. But when I do the calculations based on the financial, or based on the attorney's fees affidavit that Mr. Coberlin filed, based on the fees affidavit he filed and our fees, the exact number is $7,031 that's been spent on this foreclosure.
Okay.
$7,031.
Thank you so much. So, have to have at least that break even. Mr. Rose.
I just wanted to make,
Excuse me.
let me turn this thing off. I just wanted to make sure the lien price up here on the screen, it says $105,000 at the time of foreclosure. Is that the correct number?
Those were probably, our fines.
Okay.
How long were these fines being initiated to reach that level?
I guess 6 years.
6 years.
In 6 years, we have $105,000 worth of fines on a dilapidated house.
Yep. That's why we should have foreclosed a long time ago. Exactly.
Or maybe our fines shouldn't be so strong.
It is what the Board of Adjustment decides it to be. If they have a range that they can set it in, and they choose the fine, not us.
Okay.
Right, and we just waited too long, and that's one reason we're moving on the other piece of property earlier, rather than waiting for the lien to get to that amount. But that's what we sort of decided to do. We haven't put that in writing, but we've done that on the last 5 or 6 properties that we've done, because people have come forward and wanted to buy them. And we kind of used that as a mechanism to decide what to discount it, if they were going to put it back on the tax roll, and if they were going to put it back in code.
when you say discount it, are you suggesting that whoever buys that property has to pay the $105,000 in liens on it?
If we don't discount it, they will have to, yes, sir.
That was my question, that was my question. Thank you, Mayor.
Jones,
Who said that? Oh, sorry.
That was my question, the mayor just answered my question.
Yes, thank you.
If I may, we had a formula, do you remember?
Yes, we did have a formula, and we've been using it for everyone.
Right.
We need to put it in the form of a policy and bring it here, I believe, so that we can all approve it. But yes, we've been using the same formula for the last 4 or 5 pieces of property that
Do you
we've
want
done.
me to put that on?
That would be wonderful, then everybody can consider it.
Thank you.
well, that, sorry.
What is going on with this echo leak?
Can't help it, nothing to do about it.
The formula you used was for properties not owned by the city of Williston
Yes,
that had liens against them from the city of Williston.
right.
This property is owned by us, so we don't have to recoup $105,000 worth of liens.
Got
Okay.
And just as a point of clarification, when we went to the foreclosure sale, the way that the foreclosure sale works is that we said, court put this up for foreclosure, and then there was a sale, a public sale at the courthouse, which we attended. And we bid our $105,000 lien, which means that technically we bought the property for $105,000, which also means that our lien has been fully satisfied against that property. So there is not currently that lien against the property as we've satisfied it.
So, Ms. Kirsten, who in the world would bid against a municipality that could bid $105,000 for a building like that?
No one did.
No one could. So, the public sale wasn't really a public sale. The public sale was a confirmation of us taking the property.
Essentially.
That is correct.
If they had wanted it, they would have come earlier. That's all I can say, it's because it's been there for 6 years.
Okay.
We've actually had no offers, no formal offers before foreclosure on it.
Right.
So there was nobody that was coming out to give us a formal offer.
Okay, so is anybody interested in a seal bid, a staff recommendation?
Can we, yeah, okay, never mind, I'm good,
Put a minimum on it?
to start.
Would you suggest that we put a, Ms. Jones, would you suggest that we put a minimum bid on the seal bid?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, for our fees, I would too, now, just, if so, I think that needs to be part of the motion.
I thought someone was interested in that property months ago.
That's what she said.
Yeah.
She said there's been a couple of people.
Right.
Right, but I haven't had anybody formally go to Ms. Zamora and say, let me help, let me go to the city and get the liens reduced so that I can buy the property. That never happened. That's a possibility.
I'm sure the $105 is scaring them all away, because they don't realize that it's
So I have to ask this one more time.
satisfied.
With your sealed bids, is the $105,000 going to be on those sealed bids?
No.
So the property is free and clear,
Yeah.
the lien is satisfied, so the
Except for the legal fee.
$105,000 is gone.
Right.
So whoever's the highest bidder.
So it's strictly whoever's the highest bidder.
But the minimum bid needs to be whatever our legal fees are.
Understood.
$7,000.
I'm kind of stuck on this $105,000.
Erase it.
When Justin was here, Justin had, we came up,
That's what
you guys came up with the formula.
Okay.
We came up with that. All right, I saw a hand out here. Mr. Hartson, was it you?
Well, what I'm seeing now is that there's going to be a motion for a minimum bid of 7,031 sealed bids and then take them and go from there.
That's sort of what I'm hearing, but I
So I don't hear a motion yet.
I hadn't heard a motion
Okay.
yet, right. But that is what we've expended on it at the moment. And I'm entertaining a motion.
Was it your head?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
I move that we move forward with the sale of this property in the form of a, you want it
Yes, please.
in a form of a sealed bid?
Yep. With staff recommendation. And you want to include the minimum bid in there?
With a minimum of $7,031.
I second that.
I think we have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion from anyone?
I have discussion. I've been informed by utilities that they have a little bit of work to do for three-phase power on the right-of-way. And they're wondering if you would like to include that in the minimum bid price.
I wouldn't
We've
think,
already had the.
I wouldn't think so.
We'd have to amend that one.
I mean, we have to do it anyway, right? And the three-phase power is going where? Not going to this building.
Not this building.
Where is the three-phase power in that area?
So we have to do some maintenance, and we can't before, because now we control the property, we can. And we're just trying to take the opportunity to do that and clear the lines. We need to clear the lines. There's already power through there.
But the three-phase power doesn't go to the house, does it?
It goes back to the lift station. There's a lift station down there further down Fifth.
Right, but it has nothing to do with the house.
No, but the transmission lines are there, and while we have access to the property, we want to clear so that we don't have line outages and future line outages. And so if you want to absorb that cost in the minimum bid, that is the recommendation.
Let me clarify something.
I don't think it
Does
has
it run
anything to do
through
with
the property? Do you need an easement on this property?
No, man,
Where does it run?
it's right in front, and there's a bunch of cedar trees that's been topped for years.
Oh, I see.
Not part of this property, we're not running electric
It's in the
lines
right
So-
to someone else's property, correct?
No,
So we can't.
It's just overhead.
correct.
I don't think it needs to be attached to the property. It's for somebody else to buy. I think we're gonna be lucky to get $7,031.
But why it's ours, and we wanna cut them. But why it's ours, we wanna cut them out of the way,
Absolutely.
so we don't have to deal with it no more.
Absolutely. Do
So
whatever you need to do.
so the clarification is here, before all we were allowed to do was trim.
Yeah, it's our property, do whatever.
Correct, so now we can get rid of the problem trees so that in the future it's not an issue.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the
But
owners
there's
wouldn't let
a
us do it.
real tangible cost to that, so that's why we're bringing it up now.
But the cost, I don't believe, has anything to do with the property itself. It has to do with the line that needs to be repaired or
It's your
reconstructed.
normal maintenance work.
Right, it's maintenance, cause the owners wouldn't let us do it before, but now we have the
But now it's
opportunity to
ours,
take the
so
trees
now
out,
it's
we have
normal
to do
maintenance.
that.
I know, but the three-phase power doesn't attach to the house.
No.
It just runs through the trees.
I understand what he's saying.
Oh, I do too, but I don't think it needs to be attached to the house. To the value of the house.
I mean, they're gonna
Because it
get
has
rid of
nothing
the
to do with
trees,
house.
cause normally they would just come and cut the branches around the line.
Right.
But if they're gonna come in and take out the trees, there is a value to that. If we had to pay a tree
It's
service,
trees on the frontage, right?
The trees are
Trees on the frontage.
trees are on the property, right?
what would an estimated cost be now?
We're looking at $3,000. So if the question was, while we have control of the property, get rid of a permit and transfer that cost on, or we can absorb that cost, or we can just leave the problem there because it's not a budgeted $3,000. So we were trying to service that area, provide better service, and hopefully see if that could be contained within the price. We're just trying to be fiscally responsible here. That's all we're suggesting.
If I may ask, Donald, if the trees remain and you just cut them back from the lines as we normally do, how often do you have to do that?
Yearly.
Yearly?
And we just brought on a trimmer on the last budget, so.
If the budget of $3,000 to remove the tree would be less than 5 years of maintaining the trees, what are we losing?
It's actually more, because to maintain that line with the trees that are there in the long run is a lot more cost than initially just taking down the trees.
So I'm trying to understand, aren't you then saying that if we remove the trees, we're reducing our costs?
Absolutely.
Okay,
So remove the tree.
so remove the tree.
We're absolutely gonna do
We
that.
don't need
We
to
were just
attach
bringing to
that
council's
the
attention, there was an
property.
opportunity
We don't
to.
need to attach that to the property if we're reducing our cost, is what I'm hearing.
So where does the three-phase line run to?
Down Fifth,
All the way down.
To a
all the way down
To a
Fifth.
business, I would assume?
No, to our lift station
So
facility.
it's our three-phase line.
It's our three-phase line.
Then no.
I would not attach it to the house, to the cost to the house.
You have businesses down there that are on the line as well. It's not a self-serving line. I'm just saying that's the end destination point.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor. Is there any amendment to the motion? Yes,
I do.
Is there any
I
further
say that we
discussion?
add it to the fee. It's gonna be $10,000. Somebody's gonna buy that property, let's say if they bid 15,000 and win it, we're gonna take care of a problem.
Well, he's gonna take care of the problem, but I don't think we need to attach it to the house.
I do, that's just me though.
Since we-
I can understand what they're
I mean,
saying
you can amend it
by
if you
doing
want
it.
to, but it would have, I think the original motion has to
Okay.
agree with the amendment. And I hear her not wanting to do that. Mr. Morrison.
Well, just a point, because I'm not certain about the order, point of order. If the man seconded the motion, is now withdrawing his second, is that the point?
No, I didn't hear him say
Yeah,
that.
he did second, so then if we amend, if somebody else amends it.
I didn't hear him withdraw his second. Did I see your hand up again?
No, ma'am.
I thought I
I'm
did.
being quiet.
I thought I did.
haven't done.
All right, any further discussion on the motion, which is to take the property, the Zamora property, which is 319 Southeast Fifth Street, to close bid, with a minimum bid of $7,031. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay. We will move then to item C, which is discussion, vacation of road, the Wilson Church of God. Ms. Jones, also see Mr. Burrows down here.
So, we brought these not as public hearings, they haven't been publicly, advertised yet because the lawyers asked me to bring them to you first with our new, elected officials, Mr. Bullock, and, so she wanted, we haven't seen a vacation in a really long time.
Right.
So we wanted you guys to see what this was all about.
That just means we're not going on vacation, right?
Yeah, so we wanted to see we wanted you guys to see what these were all about before we did it in a public hearing. So I can table it, or we can go through it anyway.
Go through it.
Okay. So the first one is the vacation of a road, the Williston Church of God. You guys have to go to your maps to be able to figure these out, because, the legal descriptions won't help you at all. So this one was,
This one's not a road though, is it? It's just a little piece.
Piece of parcel of it, or part of it.
it was a road at one point.
Okay.
It was Alachua Street. Oh, hi, guys. They're probably really mad this is not a public hearing yet, but, it was Alachua Street that was vacated a few years ago. This little portion wasn't part of that, and the Church of God has put in the application to go ahead and finish it off.
Okay, that's just to, square out the lot.
Mhm.
Don't have any real plans for it, just squaring it up.
That's right.
And there is a map, let me see if I can find what page it is, that actually shows that little indentation. Yes, page 26, that shows the little indentation. Well, actually, the other one that I'm thinking of, that one shows it too.
And 28.
Page 28, you can see the little indentation right there, where it didn't get squared up.
So I'm just gonna bow down to Ms. Ballou so she can explain to you what a vacation is and why they come to you and not planning and zoning.
We're going to Bahamas, right? No? Not that kind of vacation?
No, not my friend. No, nowhere near as fun. Essentially, there's been an application, this, and another application for a different piece of property that we're gonna talk about next.
Right.
But I did want this to come to you, just to give you an idea. It hasn't been around for a while. I wanted to give you all the opportunity to do some research, and look into some things if you had any questions before we have our public hearing, so that everyone's prepared for our public hearing. That way we can get this kind of going as quickly as possible. The vacation is essentially that there is this little inlet you see, and there's nothing really being done with it. It does not belong to the parcel that it looks like it should belong to if you were to have just drawn a straight line. Essentially, the vacation is giving that piece of land to that parcel, just including that as if the line had been drawn straight. Does that make sense before I go any further?
How much property is it?
300 square feet.
Yeah, I think,
300 square feet?
Yes.
I think it says .065 acres or something like that, it's on here somewhere. so far, not very much.
So the way that, this procedure is governed by Florida statute. The statute talks about, and I tell you this in all, attorneys don't have the answer for everything, unfortunately. And the minds within our office, even within Fulton Walker, disagree on how the property is to be split. So part of our office, one faction, is that only counties who perform vacations are required to split the piece of land being vacated between adjacent property owners. That is one faction in our office. The other faction in our office is that everyone, including municipalities who do vacations, are required to do that split between the property owners. I will tell you that I've only ever seen it divided between two property owners. Now, that doesn't mean that it hasn't happened another way. It's just I have not personally seen it occur that way. So that gets a little bit nuanced, and I do want to make you aware that there is kind of that disagreement, even within our own office, as to what would be required.
Who is the other property owner?
That's exactly.
We own both sides.
You own both sides.
Yes, it is.
So
So the split is kind of irrelevant to you, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And we did it on all this was a platted subdivision, we did all the interior roads because we couldn't build the building if we didn't.
Right.
This was just left out at that time, so we're just trying to clean it up. But it was already vacated by the council.
But you have no wish to worry about splitting, you just wanna vacate
We
the
on
road.
both sides, it's an interior, we left the roads that go all the way around the parcel, so the city has access all the way around our church. So it's just, that's, and it's already, the council's already vacated, or we couldn't have built the church there. So it's an interior road,
And
not an exterior.
I will say it's important that we make the decision as Baloo is asking us to make, because on the next one she's gonna discuss, there are two different property owners.
Yeah.
So whatever we decide to do, needs to kind of go both ways.
Consistency would be great.
Yeah, consistency would be wonderful.
Is that really relevant when the single entity owns both parcels?
So,
Is that two different animals?
so the answer I think is yes on more of a legal technicality. So what we could do in either case, right, there is always the option to say, adjacent parcel owner, do you want this piece of property? And if they don't, or they're willing to give it up to their neighbor, then it's not an issue. If the adjacent property owner agrees, in this situation, it becomes a non-issue, for that reason. But I do wanna kind of just have it in the thought process that it would be divided between those properties unless waived.
And I know it's totally irrelevant most likely, but the other little notch that's out up there, who owns that parcel?
Glenn Robinson.
Say again?
Glenn Robinson.
Glenn Robinson owns the little notch, up at the top.
Up at the top.
Okay.
If I may ask, the planners coming out of me real quick. Why was this notched out to begin with? There had to be a reason for it. Do we know?
It's the original road.
That's what I know then.
The surveyor in the corner.
Steve McMillan, surveyor. I'm a little confused. I want to burst everyone's bubble, but vacating streets or closing streets is not a new issue.
Right.
It's been something I've been doing for 36 years.
Right.
It's been split down the middle to adjoining property owners for 36 years that I know of.
Me too.
This, when, in '06-ish, the church was being built, this old 1907 subdivision had streets in it, never got built. We closed all the streets that we, well, the church, owned either side of. At the time, this little 50-foot notch was owned by Glenn Robinson on each side, so we wouldn't have gained anything. Since that time, the church has acquired either side of this little 50-foot thing.
Okay.
And in 18, Eric?
So they bought the other side later.
So in 2018, there was two little cleanup squares that came through, and only one got recorded. Because I wrote both legal descriptions, but whatever happened, there was only one.
I did read that in the staff report.
Let me ask you something, Steve, help me with this.
So it's a non-issue.
So there was a
really.
subdivision that was vacated.
No. The subdivision still, Hillcrest still exists, we vacated the streets,
Interior.
interior streets.
Because typically, if it's not a road or an easement created by plats and abrogation, that takes on a different definition, right?
If it's not a.
There's an you can abrogate a road or you can vacate a road, right?
Well, we vacated them all.
Okay, well, we abrogated those that weren't part of a plat,
I don't
that's why I'm
know
asking you
much about
that.
that.
This
That
would,
word.
this would have fallen under a different definition, I'm just
I'm
asking
not familiar with that
you,
word.
if you've heard of that, because I have.
These are all in.
Okay.
I don't understand.
And history is important, that's why I asked that question, because if we knew what was there before, we may think differently about where we're at now, but if it's just been because we didn't include it, it's a
We
non-issue.
don't know what happened in when I came through in
It wasn't
'06-ish, we did what we had
Yeah.
to do. In '18, this one square got left off, but this, hey, Eric came, hey, this is, we got this left out, and I got with Nikki, Laura, I read the legals, yep, this one got left off. But this was October.
So it was included way back then, but it didn't get recorded.
Well, we thought it was included, I guess, but it didn't get
Okay.
included. So this is 6 months that we've been working on this little square, but we're not to a public meeting yet. So I don't know where it turned into a complicated thing, it's just vacate the road.
So doesn't it have to go to somebody else before it comes to us? I thought it did too.
No, it doesn't have to go to planning and zoning, but it does have to go into, the paper and the 300 feet. So it does have to be a public hearing, and I wanna do that at the next meeting.
Okay, so it has to be advertised. Okay. I don't see any problem with it.
No.
Okay, so we're gonna instruct them to advertise and bring it back to us.
This isn't gonna happen for every vacation.
No, well, this is, right, what's not gonna happen for every vacation?
We're not going to talk to you about it and then have a public hearing.
Oh, yeah, just do it.
We're just gonna bring in 3 from now on.
Yeah,
So we can talk about the second one too, right?
sure, because that one is different.
It is.
We're gonna bring this one back at the next meeting. Correct?
Right. You gotta bring that one to the next meeting, so we can do it.
I'm gonna try to get it, our newspaper, I'll just put it in different newspapers.
Okay. All right, so we're gonna move then to item D, which is the vacation of road, this is for discussion only, vacation of road Bee Tree Lane. I wanna find Bee Tree Lane, that sounds like a place I wanna be. Okay, Ms. Johnson, are you speaking to this one, or is Ms. Baloo speaking to this one?
I'll speak to just the facts real quick, and then we can talk about the splitting of the property.
Okay,
So we got this from a citizen, and it's an unused road called Bee Tree Lane. We have had some splitting of the properties behind him. I gave you guys, the new land parcels A, B, lot 24 and 25. I gave you this because I wanted you to know and notice that there are other accesses to those properties. So this Bee Tree Lane will not landlock anybody. In fact, it doesn't even give good access to those properties. So I wanted you guys to be ensured that I'm not trying to stop access to new lots. This is old Stonehenge.
oh, right. Is that where we should be, or the picture?
This is okay, I just wanted you to see we have access for the parcels. We had 4 accesses. One of them, the little one, that's the one that would be vacated. So we still have 3 accesses to those back parcels.
On this map, it's the very bottom, right, Laura?
It's the little one, yeah.
Can we use the picture instead? It seems to be easier.
Sure.
Can you go back one page, Latricia? Just because it seems to be easier to look at.
Yeah, it was just really important that you guys knew that I wasn't, taking this little one isn't gonna take any access from those new lots. So
And it's the part in the middle that's green that we're talking about? Is that correct?
that's part of the application, that picture.
It's on page 40 of our packet.
So So the applicant is 720 Northwest 7th Street,
Right,
and underneath him is Little Bee Tree Lane.
underneath him,
Well, north to south, but in the picture, it's to the right.
to the right, okay,
Mhm.
where the green writing is.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so it's all, it's a fairly good sized piece of property. Is it as wide as it looks?
It's 30 feet,
Or is, so it is?
or is it 50? I think it's 50.
And I read somewhere in our packet that he plans to put a driveway in there. Okay, so my next question is, we're gonna divide it, and have we asked the other parcel owner if they want it?
We have not. But
When we
that's-
advertise, are we required to send notices to the people within 300 feet?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's good. But it sounds like we probably need to do it down the middle instead of giving him the whole thing. Looking at Ms. Baloo on that one.
I'm looking right back.
She's already addressed this.
Yes,
Half
she
of her
has.
office is yes, the other half is no.
Well, up here, you're saying over here, it says he's done it for 36 years, and he's divided it down the middle.
Well, evidently her office isn't as smart as that man.
So if you would like to take the staff's opinion, is that you split it down the middle, you give them an opportunity to deal with it in a civil way, so that they can sell it to each other if they wanna keep.
I think that's pretty much what we have to do.
However, they may not, the amount split down the middle may be more than enough for the applicant to put in a
Or at least
driveway.
get an agreement from the property owner next to them that they will give it to them.
But we don't have anything to do.
I know that, but if they brought us something that said that, we would
Okay.
do that, what, don't you think? I would,
That would be
I
fine.
would consider it if they came in with that.
May I ask, did you say this was 30 feet wide?
Either 30 or 50, she said.
I wrote it down.
If we go back.
Because if it's 30 feet and you're reducing it down to 15 feet, the probability of getting a driveway on it
If we
is
go
very
back,
reduced.
if we go back to the other picture.
Yes, I like the actual engineering
It
drawing.
may actually, but it didn't show the houses, so I couldn't orient myself on it. But it'll tell us how wide it is if we go back there.
I'm pretty sure that the consensus is it was a 50-foot easement.
I'm looking at it, but I can't tell. Yeah, 50, yeah, 50, 50 point. Is it 50 or 00? Almost looks like 50. Alright, let me make it bigger.
I wish Steve hadn't left.
It's 50.59 feet. 50.59 on the survey.
So if we split it, it will be 25.25?
2425, yes, sir. Yeah, so, and I would say just because you're the first person that comes and asks for the road to be vacated, doesn't mean you get it all. I'd be upset if I was the neighbor, and I didn't know it, but if you're gonna send him a notice and all that.
So if we vacate this and we notify the other neighbor and they don't respond, do we just give it to them without a response? So we're splitting it down the middle, are we not then giving it to them?
It's a speech parcel, and then whatever they want.
If we split it down the middle, are we not then giving it to them?
You have to split it in the middle and each side gets the half, and they can negotiate amongst themselves if they wanna buy it from each other. Unless they come in beforehand and say, I've agreed to give it all to him.
Who will own it?
It gets attached to the parcel on each side.
Okay, so then we're giving it.
Yes. Sorry.
Wait, do we own it?
It's a city right away.
It's a road.
It's an unapproved right away.
And I understand Public Works has said they don't need it for anything.
It would still be an easement.
It would still be an easement.
You have utilities in it, that's why?
Okay, we need to make sure we put that there when we do it. That's important to know. Okay. All right, so that was a good discussion. Any other questions for Ms. Baloo before we move to the next subject? That's gonna be a fun one. If somebody wants to talk to the applicant about the process, that probably would help before it gets there. Thank you. All right, we're ready to move? All right, we're moving to E, which is discussion with possible action, magistrate for code enforcement. Ms. Jones.
Thank you. The city staff has put a lot of consideration into this, and we would like permission to move ahead to update the land development code and add to the are you making it bigger?
You just got close to it.
And, allow for a special magistrate to hear code enforcement cases. This is something that's happening a lot, especially in Central Florida. And there's a few reasons, and we'll qualify for all of them. First of all, there's no quorum necessary. It's no secret that I've had trouble filling my boards. The magistrates pay through fees and fines collected, but you don't reduce the amounts that you collect, so it doesn't change my budget at all for code enforcement. Emergency hearings are easier when needed for life safety reasons. I don't have to wait 30 days. I can invite them to come as soon as I can get a public hearing set up. Decisions are non-biased, quick, and binding. Case preparation only requires a description, and they can handle a high volume of work more efficiently. The reasons is very specific to Williston are that we have difficulty filling our boards. The Code Enforcement Board has been underfilled for over a year and has received no applications from citizens wishing to serve in a year. By the end of the year, the Planning and Zoning Board will have at least 2 vacant seats that we know of. We've had a very difficult time filling our Citizens Task Force Committee for their CDBG grants. Difficulty communicating with boards through emails and phone calls. In this way, there would be only one person to coordinate. Our meetings are rushed due to volunteers having other obligations at night. Fines are typically begin 30 days after a hearing. This is after our code enforcement officer has been working with a property owner for 30 to 60 days.
Do I read this correctly? Are you through? I'm not sure you're through.
I was just gonna...
You're taking a breath. Go ahead. Keep going.
I just wanted to say that the staff is recommending this. We don't have to get rid of our code enforcement board 100% in the ordinance if this doesn't work out, but we could retire them for a year or so and see how it works. We could put in the land development code that we have a magistrate or a code enforcement board.
You answered my question. My question was, do we get rid of the code enforcement board?
Maybe temporarily and see how it works for us.
That's scary.
I know, and I know this was brought to you before, a few years ago, and I don't think it was ever voted on or finalized, but with the amount of code enforcement that we are starting to see come in, it's really hard for us to try and notify and then get a code enforcement board here and not be delayed and delayed and delayed.
And with the magistrate's decision, you say it was binding.
Mm-hmm.
So the fines would be binding.
Mm-hmm.
If it moved to foreclosure or something, it would still come here, just like it does now.
Mm-hmm.
It would just be the front half of it, that whoever you got, it's sort of like a judge.
Yes, ma'am.
The magistrate's sort of like a judge, who reads the code and goes by it strictly. Got a good assessment?
That is a very good assessment.
And then it comes directly to us.
Then it comes to us, that's
Rather
right.
than waiting 2 or 3 months.
Right. Okay, for discussion, what do y'all think?
Our city is growing, we have new people that'll be moving in, and we need to keep that impression that we've got a good city. That's clean, and not, cause I'm seeing it as I drive around, stuff piling up in people's backyards, et cetera.
Yep.
So,
I take pictures, I send them to Mr. Carson.
So I do want to clarify just briefly, we will still have to work, our office will still have to work with the general magistrate. The general magistrate will take over instead of a board, it will just be one judge. So in the same way that we have to prepare orders, administrative liens, those kinds of things that
Sure.
we do, for the board already, we would do the same if we had a general magistrate. So we would likely still attend meetings so that we can make sure that we have an understanding of the rulings, and the facts of the case, and make sure that everything is kind of laid out. But it would be less work intensive, for us, because we do not have to kind of reiterate the specifications and
The land development codes themselves.
yes.
Yeah. So do you work with any other cities that currently use magistrates?
The city of Archer is currently attempting to get a magistrate because they cannot, fill their code enforcement board either. So the answer right now is no, and the answer in 2 or 3 months will be yes.
Okay.
If I may, I have worked with magistrates. Choosing a magistrate is important. You wanna get someone naturally in there that understands small town. Has that small town feel in the sense that they'll work with them a little bit, but not drag it out for a long time. And you're getting rid of that risk of emotional decisions being made and chance of lawsuits. I mean, we're getting to that stage where we have some complicated cases coming, but magistrates do wonderful, because staff has to present them with a complete staff report. And if it's not right, he or she will let them know that. And if they find a flaw in the code, they'll also say, you need to fix this. So you really want that. You want somebody that really tunes in to that type issue. And I've had great luck working with them, but you need to advertise and make sure you get someone that you're comfortable with.
So what would the qualifications be for a magistrate?
They're attorneys.
They are.
They're attorneys.
Okay, so they're actually an attorney who serves as the judge in the case.
Correct.
Gotcha. Who would know our code.
And you enter into a contract with them.
Okay. All right.
Ms. Jones?
Any comments, Mr. Ross? No? Ms.
As-
Jones?
As far as other cities, Wayne had a list of other cities if you wanted to hear. Wayne had a list of other cities nearby that were going towards the magistrate, and it seems to be a trend that is picking up some momentum.
Okay. Thank you. All right, how do y'all feel? You want them to move in that direction? I've heard Mr. Cox say that he believes it's a professional way to proceed. Yeah, you didn't use that word, but I hear you say
Yeah,
that.
I agree with it. I think people don't like to get involved anymore. And if we're having problems filling boards, then if other cities are going to it, then we should follow suit.
I will say that with the amount of foreclosures that we're seeing coming up, it does provide us a little bit more solid legal standing. When we go in front of a court and we say, yes, we followed all of the procedures, it just provides a little bit extra padding.
Great point. Councilman Robinson? How do you feel about it?
I'm agreeing with, Councilman Cox. I hate to do away with our code enforcement, but there's not many of them to get rid, but if we put them on a temporary, which, temporary, you know they're not gonna come back after that.
So what's gonna happen to code enforcement?
Maybe we can get them to move to the planning and zoning. I think they currently have one, do you have one opening on planning and zoning?
We'll have
They
at
may not
least,
want to.
we'll have at least 2 by the end of the year, if not 3.
2 or 3, okay, and they could also serve on her CDBG board.
Was your question about the code enforcement officer?
No.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
officer.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Oh, did you say the officer or the code enforcement board?
No, he said officer.
I said officer.
Oh, I'm sorry, he wouldn't go anywhere, as far as I can tell.
No, that's correct. We would still need
Yeah,
an
he's
officer very
fine.
much.
We would still need him to do his job.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I did not hear what you said. Missed it.
Okay.
All right, so what are your instructions to staff? You want them to bring it back to you in the form of a,
It would be an
I
ordinance.
guess it would be an ordinance, yes, because a resolution would not be enough.
And it will be, before we go forward, this will be an extensive code kind of rewrite. We're gonna have to kind of comb through a couple of different areas that mention code enforcement. So I will definitely not have it ready by the next
Oh, no,
meeting.
sure,
Just so
sure.
that everyone's on the same page, it will not be ready by
Right,
then.
right.
Okay.
Are you interested in her spending staff time to do that? If we don't wanna move forward with it, we don't need to spend time and legal expense. So that's why I'm asking you the third time.
Still say we move forward.
I do too. I hate to, but yes,
Okay,
I think we need to.
y'all work together and try to find out the location if it needs to be changed, and let us know where it
What's
is.
Mr. Ross saying?
Mr. Ross, you got something to say?
Nope.
Okay.
No, no, no.
I think it kinda looked like you was ready to say something.
It looked like he was getting
All right.
ready.
You look like you were thinking really hard there.
Well, I was.
Okay. All right.
Keep it to yourself.
Thinking man.
All right, let's see. I think we're ready then. You've got the feelings there. We'll move to F. This one we get to actually vote on. Resolution 2022-23, a resolution of the City of Williston, Florida, authorizing the purchase of a Ring Central, Inc., a voice-over IP, VoIP telephone service, and providing an effective date. Mr. Mills.
Good evening, council,
Everybody
and
come on
Mr.
up.
Mayor, and all the esteemed members in the audience.
Whoever we are, right?
Yep. It kind of in a nutshell, make it quick and easy, this is moving us into the current century instead of last century, communication-wise. Currently, we have, airport has their own telephone system, PD has their own telephone system, City Hall has their own telephone system, Fire Department has a telephone. So,
They have dispatch.
what this does is it basically it moves us up to the newest technology of telecommunications, and allows us to be one entity on one service. Where currently, if someone calls the City Hall, because that's the number they know, and they need the police department, we have to tell them, sorry, hang up, call this number. We have no way of directing the calls accordingly. Same thing, they call the police department looking for City Hall because their power's out, well, we can send them straight to utilities if we have this new type system. All the entities, separate City Hall, police, fire, airport, wherever, can still function as their own telephone group. In other words, the police department won't be hearing the City Hall's phone ring and vice versa. But it still becomes one system all tied together. Cost-wise, monthly cost is literally the same thing we're paying CenturyLink now. There's $20 difference. The majority of the CenturyLink bill is gonna go away because we don't need those services any longer. Suncom, $700, $800 bill is gonna go away monthly because we don't need those services anymore either. There are some landlines we'll still maintain that utilities uses for lift stations, wellheads, you know, for error reporting and things that they get information from. Those will remain in place, but we'll basically eliminate the majority of our CenturyLink bill toward this. It has a lot of pluses that we can, once we get it implemented, we can probably eliminate the majority of our cell phone bills as well. Yes, sir.
What do you figure the net cost is gonna be of this?
The
After
net,
all these different things.
it's pretty much a wash. It comes out about what we're paying now. We're just improving our service. We're still gonna spend roughly the same amount of money. We'll have to purchase some hardware up front.
Upfront cost.
Upfront cost, but within about a year, the savings we're getting will pretty much wipe that out. So it's gonna be, after a year, we'll probably be saving money, ultimately.
And tell me if I'm wrong, do I understand that if I dial an extension, that extension can forward to?
Well, it depends on how you set it up as the user. Every user has control over their extension, so to speak. There's an app that you put on your cell phone that functions as that extension as well. It basically becomes a virtual phone on your phone. And we can text through it, we can send messages, send pictures through it, everything. If we do that, that also gives us the ability to capture that information for sunshine law and public records. Likewise, the phone calls can be recorded through that system, where we're paying $7,200 a year right now just to record the fire department, police department phone calls. That also can go away, or at least most of it can go away, the cost of that. So we do have some potential savings there overall, but the way the app works is if they dial the city council or city manager's extension, she's not here, her cell phone's also gonna ring, she can just pick the call up. Likewise, we have this new thing where everybody wants to work from home or needs to work from home. It makes it a lot easier. They have their cell phone, the app's right there, they've got their office phone right there with them. They can also open the web page on their computer with a headset and still work through their cell phone, through their office phone extension, through their computer as well. It also replaces they provide video conferencing, which is basically a clone of Zoom. It is also included in this cost, which will eliminate another cost that we're paying for GoToMeeting. So we're kind of eliminating a lot of services and rolling it all into one.
Right.
And ultimately, we will be saving money after the first year.
It looks like that, upfront cost is around $7,500.
Give or take, it's gonna fluctuate some depending on what exact equipment we need at different locations, but in a nutshell, the Ring Central has agreed to sell us the telephones at 75% off. So the cost we're spending to buy the phones is significantly cheaper than what it costs us normally. They want us to be a customer, basically.
Right.
There's some network wiring that may have to happen. We may need some switches and network gear to accommodate the extra devices, but again, that's kind of negligible. Most of that cost is the actual phones.
Okay, and when you say phones, you mean phones that sit on a desk?
Physical desk. We're going to still have physical desk phones.
That transfer out to the cell phone, if you want them to.
Well, it depends how you set it up. Most of by default, people set it up to ring simultaneously.
Okay.
And every phone also will have its own private number. And we will retain the city's numbers that we have now.
Right.
But every phone, because of the nature of the way the system works, you have a number that is assigned to that phone.
Okay.
That is not necessarily one of the 9 or 10 public numbers that City Hall has. So if you choose to give that private number out to someone, that's fine. They dial that number, it's gonna ring directly to your phone or your cell phone app or whatever, without even going through the auto attendant or the reception or whoever's gonna be picking up calls.
So can we do away with the auto attendant?
That is a possibility. I agree with you to the point that I do not like them myself personally, but given the nature of our existence in this technology world, it's almost a necessary thing, but we can revamp it significantly. And we have full control over that as well in this app, in the system. We can easily have them when they call City Hall, it just says, is this an emergency? Do you need the police department? Dial 911. Or press 1 for the police department, boom, and it can just go right to them. The current situation where after hours we have the police departments having to answer the phone that when people call, we can have that in a call, what they call a call bucket, where when someone calls after hours, they get the auto attendant prompt, you have a utility outage, press this number, whatever, and it can go into a call group that doesn't really ring a phone, it goes out as a message to whoever is designated.
Assigned to it at that time.
Right, so it could go to Donald, it could go to Jonathan, it could go to Mike, it could go to, whoever, and they all get the message. So at that point, whoever's on call obviously would have the message, without someone having to pick up the phone.
Any questions there?
I have a question.
Chief Rose.
Me and Aaron talked about this a little bit today, the recording of the phone calls coming to the police department. Is that system, I know you talked about it a little bit today, but is that system going to be able to record those calls where the dispatcher needs to go back and re-listen?
Yes.
Will it be able to capture that and they'll be able to replay it?
Yes, and you have the ability to set up what users have access to what recordings. So in other words, nobody here at City Hall would be able to go listen to the police department's recordings, and vice versa, you know. I mean, obviously I would be an administrator on the system, I got it all, but, we can control that according. You can have the dispatchers have access to all the recordings at the police department, where officer so-and-so would only have, say the investigator, he would only have control over his recordings on his extension, which every user would have.
And how long does it maintain the recording? Do we know that?
I think for a year is their rollover, but I'm not exactly sure, but it's a long period of time, longer than we need to keep
It
it.
may not be long enough for the police department.
And it's
Yeah.
not, it's not. It has to be a little
And that's
longer.
something we can address, they'll probably do,
Longer, yeah.
and we also have the ability to archive it off, if we wanna pull them off.
Okay. That's
After
good.
a certain time, we will just archive them somewhere, we can do that.
We
That's,
need to find that out. Yeah, we need to check on that for sure.
yeah, that's not a problem.
Either that or
They'll,
they may just stay where they are.
they'll do what we need to do. They're already very well accommodated. They're actually giving us some features that we wanted that are included in a higher package. They're giving them to us for nothing.
Okay,
And the recording is one of them.
all right. Any other questions, Mr. Mills?
And the multiple entities under the same account is another feature that they're giving us for nothing.
And this is internet-based,
Yes, it's voice over IP.
and we have good stability in the internet?
Yes, we have fiber feeding us, we have a good network, so we're okay. The downtime on your internet connection now is literally, or uptime is literally 99.9% of the time.
So if the internet went out, would they not have phone service?
Well, well, no, they would not have phone service, but that's where we're gonna retain cell phones to have as backup emergency, that, and those apps, you know, like the City Hall numbers would be on a cell phone or two, that even if someone dials the 3060 number, but even if the internet phone is down, the cell phone is still gonna pick it up and ring.
So we're gonna be paying for the cell phone plus the.
Well, but we're gonna eliminate probably 2/3 of our cell phones
I think everybody's gonna.
overall, because instead of us providing employee cell phones, they're gonna have their own phone, and we're gonna put the app on their phone.
So they only have to carry one phone instead of two.
So then they
Most
have
of them are
one
carrying-
phone that's their city phone virtually,
Yeah,
and their
most of them are
personal
carrying
phone.
two right now.
Yeah, and it's aggravating, and in the event, it gives us better control that if we have a disgruntled employee that just decides not to show up to work or bring their cell phone or laptop back to the City Hall, no harm, no foul. I just turn the account off and assign that number to someone else. And they can't utilize it at that point.
Chief Roll.
I mean, I like the system. The only question that I have is, they brought up the question of if the internet goes down, the phones are dead, and you say we'll have cell phones, but for the comp center.
We're gonna retain copper lines at the PD for that backup purpose.
Okay, there you go. I'm good then.
We will still retain some communications on copper.
Okay, I'm
Do
good.
we know other police departments that are on this?
Literally probably everybody in the world except us.
Okay, so.
I mean, that's just, I'm being all honesty, like GPD, UPD, Ocala PD, Marion County, literally everybody in the world's using it.
Okay, if you could furnish Chief Roll with some of those so he can kind of get his assistant to
I'm
make
sure you
contact
they
with
are
them
on
and
And Chief, it's called Skynet.
reassure
Yes,
him.
Skynet.
Yeah.
I think it would make us all feel better. if
It is,
assured.
they literally, every major agency's using it, every
Okay.
city's
Well, let's
using
figure
it.
out how they use it so we can make it work from the beginning.
Yeah,
They
please.
they utilize it the same way, they'll keep copper lines as a backup. You know, they'll have one or two lines that would ring in an emergency,
Like
or
is the sheriff's office of Levy County using it?
I'm pretty sure they are, I'm not certain, but I'm sure they are. They had a hack that happened on them
I
a
realize
couple years ago when they
Yeah.
lost all their phones.
Yep.
That was why, because they had an unsecure network. But,
And one of the good things, me and Aaron talked a little bit today about technology and moving forward. You know, and he talked about cell phones a little bit. Yes, it will eliminate some of the cell phone costs, but my men and my women at the police department don't have city phones. So they use their own cell phones.
most of them refuse to carry the two phones, and I get that, I do, and this would eliminate that issue as well.
So it would require them to just load the app on their personal phone and then be able to use it which will avoid the city having to
And then
provide.
the calls that came into that app would be recorded,
Yes,
Correct.
only those.
correct, has nothing to do with their personal phone at all, nothing to do, again, there's no reason, as long as they use that app for the phone calls, business related, then yes, that's the case. Just like the investigator, okay, he can have that app on his phone and he don't have to give them a number to call. He can be out and about and wherever he's at, they call the PD, need to talk to him, they go one moment, they just transfer it to his extension.
And I just got to do a little research. I'm a little concerned about the privacy of their own personal cell phone with the app on it.
Yep.
Does it expose their personal phone to if somebody was to do a request?
No, it does not, because
It does
because as long as they use our app for their official business, everything we need public records wise, we have.
I think it's what separates it and makes
It keeps it separate, it's literally allowing them to have two phones in one device.
I'll still like to read on it.
Yeah.
But I agree with
That's up
the
to you.
system. I like the system, but
Yes, you need to find some other departments that are
Yes.
using it, so you can reassure yourself. And
Tracer for,
Mr. Barber.
Some of us have been given the app to do kind of demos and testing on.
I don't think
For
so.
as far as utilities, this
Because
app
there's
not
no
only
way.
allows you to make
I don't
phone
think so.
calls and receive
I'll
calls,
ask.
on top of that, in the field, we have to take pictures and catalog those pictures. And one of the issues we've had with the technology we have at City Hall is we have no way of cataloging those. And when you go from carrier to carrier, which we've done, and you go from phone to phone and people break them, you lose that
Lose
information.
everything, yeah.
And in investigations and other things, it's been critical that we don't have those photos. Well, now through this app, you can actually use the app's camera, and it doesn't store it on your own gallery. It's specifically only to what Aaron catalogs. This includes text
that's what I'm
messages.
talking about, it's separate. It's
Every
not on the
text
phone.
message sent through the app does not go onto your text messages for your personal phone. It's only accessed through the app. So when we've been demo testing it, our biggest concern in utilities was that if we're asking someone to use their personal phone, what liability does that open up? And I've been using this app now for a while with Aaron, and it literally has removed all liability. And that's one of the positives. And as far as Public Works, we would literally want to get rid of every single phone, including on-call phones. So there's massive savings there.
Like I said, we'll
we
probably
figured just in
eliminate
Public Works-
two-thirds of our cell bill, literally.
Yeah, just in Public Works, it's like $14,000.
Whoa.
Yeah, so we're talking a good chunk.
Does it matter what phone you use,
Nope,
iPhone?
iPhone or Android, either one, doesn't care.
I have a question.
Who said that? That's right.
How's that gonna work for the ones that we are paying them monthly for their cell phone?
I
There's
didn't want
several officers.
I think there's.
I didn't want to bring that up.
I think there's
I'm
only
gonna
two or
use my
three of
personal
those.
phones.
There's two or three people that we pay a cell phone a phone allowance,
Mhm.
because they're using their own cell phone.
So how's that
For
gonna work with
business.
the others?
If I can offer my opinion, I don't think we should pay them at all for the use of their personal phone.
Yeah.
When that was implemented, cell phones were expensive, minutes were expensive, things like that. Everybody has a cell phone today. Everybody has an unlimited account. If they don't, come see me, I'll tell you how to get one for $25 a month.
And I would agree with that, because I worked from home, from November to March. No, from March to November, excuse me. And my desk phone was transferred to my cell phone. And I answered every call that rang on my desk phone at the Florida Farm Bureau office building, rang to my cell phone. And it made I made it so it had a different noise, and it rang different, so I knew what to say when I answered it. Chief Stigall.
Yes, I'm one of those, excuse me, that receives that stipend.
Yes.
So, am I to understand, you want to take my personal cell phone and put an app on it?
That is correct.
That's what I hear.
And if I don't want you to put a city app on my personal cell phone?
Then you don't do it. You just use your
Okay.
desk phone at your desk, or you
Alright.
use it on your
I'm
computer.
just making sure.
I mean, you're not
just making
required to
sure.
do it, I'm just saying, yeah, that's the case.
So, at that point,
The decision would have to be made whether we still paid the monthly stipend
correct.
to the two or three people that are still still left, a lot of them are.
Right, like I check
Kinda
my
they
email and all that stuff on my cell phone
They've gone and-
after hours.
But that's your
They used to be
choice.
more than that, but now they're.
Well, it's, the city pays for it.
I actually have 3 different
So-
accounts on my phone.
I understand, and that's your choice,
That's
just
what
like
it
he's
is.
saying here, that's my choice.
Yeah.
So I'm just confirming that, you know, if people don't have to use this app on their phone, they don't have to.
They don't have to, it's a
They won't have
convenience.
phone service if they don't.
Correct.
They'll
Oh, no, I'll have
they'll
phone,
have a desk phone.
no, ma'am, I'll have phone service.
Well, they'll have a desk phone, is what they'll have.
Right, I've got a desk phone. I'm just making sure.
Right, you don't
Okay.
have to do it, it's just your convenience.
I won't, and I can promise you the majority of the fire department won't.
I can tell you, I am forced to use a city phone
I think if you understand it better, you might feel different.
and not have, I was told I have to carry 2. Why is anybody else different?
Do what?
I've been told I have to carry 2 phones, my personal phone and my city phone, because it's keeping the information
Right.
separate,
Right.
right? Why is anybody else different from that? I understood that was the policy. Because I wasn't given a choice, I was told I need to do both, I'm asking.
Who told you that?
Who told you that? But from the very beginning.
I was told, it's not telling who told you that.
I can't remember that far back,
Okay, that's
but I'm
too
just telling
ambiguous to
you, I thought policy said we had to keep this separate because of the nature of our job.
Who told you that was the policy?
As part of the sunshine law and the public records, if we use text for business
Are you the one that
communications.
told her that was the policy?
I did not.
He wasn't-
Okay.
he
But
wasn't here.
if we utilize that as a communication factor in business, which we do, we're required to capture that.
There you go.
And to capture that, we have to have physical control over either the phone itself and/or the app itself, which is what we're trying to go to.
And my point is, I have nothing to hide, even in my personal, if I got the question, fine. But it was important to keep my information separate, is what I understood, because it was the sunshine law.
I'm in
So
the
I'm-
same boat as you. I leave my city cell phone on that desk 90% of the
It's
time.
difficult, but I do it.
I just, carrying two phones is.
Ridiculous. But I still do it, because I don't want to.
My biggest concern with this voice over IP is it's internet based. It is internet based, right, Aaron?
Aaron,
If I could interrupt you?
Go ahead.
It is internet based, correct?
It is IP internet-based phone
So
service,
if
yes.
you don't have internet service, you don't have a telephone, is what you said earlier.
Yeah, but we have internet.
If you don't have internet service, you don't have a telephone, is that accurate?
Through that service, yes.
Okay, so if you are out of the internet service area, are you no longer having a telephone?
No, our internet service here is wired to the building. The telephones will have
I'm talking about
service.
in City Hall where you live, I'm talking about out there in the world where the rest of us live.
But they're not gonna have phones out carrying in their pocket except for their cell phone. If their cell phone is in their pocket.
I'm sorry, I'm talking about the cell phone.
Okay, no,
Voice
they're-
over IP on a cell phone with internet based,
Yes, but so is your cell phone. Your cell phone's on, it has internet connection all the time.
but you have a phone whether you have internet or not.
If you'll make an example of what you mean.
I can make a phone call when I don't have internet service. That's what I'm.
No, you cannot, because cell phones are internet-based.
That's what he said.
Your cell phone is an internet phone. You are using internet to make that phone call on your cell phone.
I think what Mr. Goodman is asking is if you're in, let's say, Yankeetown, England, someplace that doesn't have the best service in the world.
Correct.
And you need to be contacted,
It
and
would-
your internet service is not very good in that area.
It's still gonna be the same. If your cell phone works, you would have enough.
Okay, so if you're in an area where you have no data, well, you have one bar,
It's still gonna work as best it can, the same way your cell phone's gonna work as best it can.
okay, so if you don't have internet cell phone service, it will not.
Well, no, it's not a magic pill. If you don't have service, you're not gonna make a phone call either way. Does that make sense?
Yes, but any cell phone would be the same way. Is
Absolutely.
the point you're making.
Yes,
I think,
Any cell phone.
Mr.
not
Mayor,
the phone.
I think what the mayor's asking is if your desk phone has no internet, is it still gonna ring to your cell phone?
Yes, if that cell phone is on and has internet connection, yes.
There you go.
It will work on both. But if,
And it would be the same whether we had voice over IP or not.
Well, that's
If your cell
what I'm-
phone doesn't work, it's not gonna ring.
well, that's what I'm talking about, is having backup cell phones in case we do lose internet in the building. The cell phone's still gonna work through the cell towers and still get the phone call on the app.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Not
This
ours.
system is running off of those cell towers?
If you have the app on your telephone and you are out in the wide world out there and you're connected to a cell tower, yes, it's working off the internet connection on your phone. But your cell phone is an internet connection, period.
So
'cause
if your phone's gonna work at all.
all cell phones are voice over IP systems.
What do you say? It won't work anyway, if you're not gonna get it,
Correct,
whether it's voice over IP or just a regular cell phone.
correct.
You're not gonna get it if you don't have service. So either way, it's the same. But your desk phone.
I guess y'all have me
But
convinced.
the desk phone is still gonna work because it's right here in the building.
If the desk phone is plugged up and has internet connection and someone calls that number or that extension, the cell phone will ring.
Okay, so
If
we
that
don't-
app is tied to that, it will also ring at the same time or afterwards, ever how you wanna set it up.
I love technology.
If anybody at our next meeting interested in seeing a list of pros and cons, or you wanna move on this tonight?
We kinda wanna move on it tonight if we can.
Okay, so what do you think we should do?
Well, like Karen said, at some point, we gotta start moving most
Yeah.
in the future. We
It's-
know so much in these meetings, well, we
Yeah,
never
it's
used
on.
to do that.
I mean, it's off, but.
We didn't do this. We need to move forward.
We just need to make sure it's gonna work if we do.
This is nothing new. This is not like brand new technology. This is
I use-
literally everything that anybody in the world
I
is
used
using.
VoIP 25 years ago.
Yeah, this,
It's not new technology. We're just a little bit behind. I think you guys are really gonna like it.
this has been around a very long
It's not
time.
new.
Is that something you've used it before?
I have.
Okay.
Yeah, many years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, this is nothing new. We're just trying to advance.
Anybody else use it?
And
I
then-
have,
I've been in this for personal.
hasn't been as many years ago.
You would use it in this week, so we're good. All right, so where y'all wanna go with this? I hear Mr. Cobb. I heard Mr. Cobb, so anybody else think? We have a resolution on the floor, if anybody's interested in making a motion,
Make a motion?
if that's what you want to do.
I make a motion that we proceed forward.
Okay,
Second.
I have a motion and a second for resolution 2022-23 regarding Ring Central Inc., voice over IP. Any further discussion?
One question.
Yes, sir.
Aaron, say for instance, storm comes, knocks the internet down.
We're back to cell phones or the copper backup lines that we're gonna retain. We will,
be able to do hotspots?
I'm sorry?
Would we be able to use, like you can buy a hotspot?
Well, but that's still cellular, so it does the same thing as a cell phone, yeah. It's the same thing.
I got copper lines, I'm good.
And we are gonna retain at least one or two main
I'll be over
copper.
to your place, Jim.
We're gonna retain copper lines just for redundancy to have it in case that happens.
I mean, it's like our house, so the hurricane comes along, we
Right.
don't have a wall phone.
Typically, the copper lines
Because all
stay
of
up
our
in the-
electronic phones go out.
Typically, in a
Yeah, I
storm,
mean, I have
copper
one,
lines
y'all
do
do it
stay
not.
up.
In case they pull it out of the closet, plug it in, and it will. Yeah.
Aaron, I'm on your.
If you don't have one, you can buy one. I just think-
You on my team?
As long as I get copper
Yeah.
lines.
You'll be
All
fine,
right.
dude.
I have a motion and I have a second. Do I have any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. My goodness.
All right,
Okay.
one more before we quit. The contract that's in there is not the contract you need to sign, that's just what it
So
looks
don't
like.
sign it.
Right.
Wherever it is.
He's gonna e-sign it to you when they're ready.
Okay. All right, so item number 10 is public participation. This is your last chance of this meeting to come before the council right up here if you have something to say.
Guys, wait to be recognized.
Oh, yeah, come on. And you have 5 minutes to speak to anything that's not on the agenda.
Liz Cooper Wilson, just a quick comment on the topic of foreclosure and magistrate. Can we have an update on the Wilson Hospital status and the next meeting with you? I'm sorry, something's wrong.
Me too.
I know a little bit, but she probably doesn't know about it.
I'm gonna defer this to Laura, because she's been in contact with the realtor and someone that's already interested that we're trying to get engaged, so go ahead.
So the update on the hospital is that it does have, from what I understand, about $1 million in federal, county, and other liens. So there is a contract with a realtor who is trying to get that worked out for a new buyer. And there are people that are interested, that have been interested in years, so we expect to see some movement on that a little bit slowly because they are federal liens, but we do expect to see movement in the next few months.
Okay, thank you.
When does that trial start?
Next week.
Yeah, you know.
I'm in the dark, no. I haven't really pursued that.
I think it's this week.
I think it's May 9th or something like that.
What?
Could be this week, but I think it's May 9th.
Where?
In Jacksonville. And we can kind of give you some of that if you need it. I know we were contacted by a realtor. The realtor said he had been, contacted by the owner. The owner said, that he was going to serve as the agent to sell it. We hooked them up. He wanted to know if the city, they owe the city any liens or fines. And I said, no, I don't think so, which he's talking to Ms. Jones.
We haven't levied any fines on them. We are working with them. They have had some break-ins and some problems with their grass, so, but we are in contact with them all the time, and they have contracted somebody to take care of all that.
Always responded without the fines being levied, so.
They have.
I don't think they owe us a utility bill. That's only one thing I didn't know about. We need to check the utility bill to see if they owe us.
That I don't know, but.
That's the one thing I thought about, that I knew we didn't have fines and liens, but I wasn't sure about utility bills.
They paid us a utility bill, I believe, about $100,000.
Yeah, they closed the road, so I'm not sure they paid their last utility bill, so we need to check on that. But other than that,
I knew the county had a lot of liens, and that was one of the holdups. I wasn't sure, I figured you would know, what was going on.
yeah, thank you. Anybody else for this agenda? All right, and, at this time, I'll ask anybody in the room if they have any announcements tonight.
I had one thing I was gonna mention, it's not really an announcement, but while you were going over that old house, one of the two arches,
Yes, sir.
I had a paper route when I was 12 years old, and I delivered papers to that old house. It wasn't old then, and a fellow lived there with his son. And the son graduated from high school, went to work at some local place here, didn't like it, joined the army, sent into Vietnam, and his helicopter was hit by a missile. No survivors. And then his dad died 3 months later, and I lost complete track of everything and anybody, but that's my knowledge of that old house.
Goodness, what a memory. That's a good story, you need to give that one to Laura. We have storytellers going on, that would be a good one. Any other announcements from anyone in the room? Back row, anybody, that's right.
Just want to announce, Thursday, National Day of Prayer at the Dr. Kenneth A. Schreiber Pavilion at noon. If you're not doing anything, please attend.
Anybody else? I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
I moved to adjourn.
Second.
Motion, second. All in favor, say aye.